Almost 4,000 years ago, a father and a son were walking together on the banks of a great river, close to what was then possibly the biggest city in the world, Babylon. The father, whose name was Jared, said to his son, Idin, "See, my son, the great Euphrates River. If this river did not flow, there would be no wonderful city of Babylon, no palaces, no gardens, not even any houses." Idin said, "But I don't understand, father. Did all these things appear out of the water?" "No," his father laughed. "Not one just floated the palaces down here or pulled them from the water. Let me explain, Idin." They sat down on a bench overlooking the wide river, which rolled before them, reflecting the palaces and religious temples that rose high on both banks of the river. The first people who lived along this river realized that the land surrounding the river had rich soil for planting crops, like wheat and barley for bread. These people settled along the river because the land farther away from the river was desert, and the desert is not a very good place to grow crops. So these people built their homes along the river so that they could grow crops to feed themselves and their families. Now let me ask you a question, Idin. Why do you think people built our city right here? Because of the water? Yes, the river water kept alive the plants that were grown for food. Now look around. And Jared waved his hand in a circle. Now we have our great and beautiful Babylon. Of course, the people that settled in Babylon weren't the only ones who had the good idea to settle along the river. Other people came and settled up and down the river, forming other towns and cities. Soon, people realized they could use the Euphrates for more than just growing food. What else do you think they discovered they could use the river for? Jared asked his son. Idin thought for a moment. Then he asked, "To carry things from one city to another like we do every day?" "Correct," his father bellowed. They traveled in boats up and down the river to trade with people from other cities. The cities soon traded crops, material to make clothing, and other items that they needed. The Euphrates River is not the only river that is used in this way. People also use the Tigris River to grow crops and to trade with other cities. It is hard to think of a time when people did not use the river for growing crops and for traveling as we do today, Idin said. Jared replied, "That it is. I have more to explain to you. You see, after a while, many people had made their homes along the Euphrates, and some had land farther back from the river. Soon, it was difficult for everyone to reach the water easily. People started wondering if there was a way to get the water from the river to other parts of the city. Soon, they discovered that there was a way. Idin thought for a minute, then exclaimed, "The canals!" "Yes," his father continued, "they dug ditches cut into the earth, which we call canals. The water flowed out of the river and through the canals to the areas of the city farther from the river. Then farmers could grow crops even where the rivers didn't flow. Our great king, Hammurabi, did the same thing. He had canals dug to move water all over our country from the two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. And King Hammurabi and his helpers used an ancient way to collect rainwater. When the winter rains came, the water doesn't just wash away downstream. They made the waters run into a reservoir. That was after the rains stopped. There would be water for drinking or for watering crops. Once this was done, people could stay in one place near the river and make that place better and better until finally we had... "Babylon!" exclaimed Idun. "Our King Hammurabi must be the best king of all, Father." Warid agreed. He is indeed a great king, and now I think it is time for us to head home, my son.